Hello, welcome to Beau guitars and ukuleles. My name is Beau Hannam and I'm about to show you my method for refretting a 2001 American Standard Strat with a maple fingerboard in stainless steel frets, which none of that is fun to me. Stainless steel and maple fretboard, but I show you all my tricks and I hope you find it informative and educational and all that. If you do, please subscribe and hit the like button and all that kind of thing, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Happy building. Hello and welcome to Beau guitars and ukuleles. I thought I'd just do a quickish video about refretting a maple fretboard with stainless steel frets. The originals weren't stainless steel and they were worn, and the customer asked me to take them out, replace them with stainless. So stainless is a lot harder, so got to be careful, but this is a little trick that I learnt, or I don't know, this is the way I do it, and it's proving to be excellent. It's kind of like a bit of a reverse engineered semi-hemispherical way to do it, but these are the original frets, and you can see that the first 5 are red, and then I start that number system again just up to 5 in a different color, and then the next 5 are different color again till I run out of frets and colors. So, and obviously 3 is the 3rd fret, and then you just keep track of the colors. I always go in rainbow order, but you know, I'm a Steiner kid. So, for instance, this is the 4th fret, which I haven't put in yet. So when I take out the 4th fret, which is this one, and this is on the treble side, when I'm trimming a piece of stainless steel fret wire, I can roughly trim it to the length, and then this is how it looks at that stage. So this is for that fret, so you can just see it's a bit longer. But with this, now I have the original. I can replicate that exactly, which is what I've done here. And I'll show you how I do this, but I'll show you. So I get the, you can see how it's tapered. I'll get so the fret angle at the end is, you know, the typical one, whatever that is, about 30 degrees. And the point that I'm interested in is the very bottom of the tang here and here. And what I can do with the old fret wire, or the original fret wire, and the new fret wire, and this is after it's been radius to the correct radius and everything, I can cut it and file it perfectly to length, minus a tiny bit. Can you see how that's just a tiny bit shorter? That's it. It's like half a 64th or something. It's just a tiny amount. And so when I put that in, if it goes in centered, then I'm going to have to do minimal, if any, clean up with a file on the side. And I also pre-polish the fret ends. So I will show you how I do that with this next fret. Okay, so this is the second green, which is the second color, and so it's the 7th fret. That's just how I automatically know. And this is the new fret, which I haven't trimmed, and you can see that the bottom area of interest is pretty close as it is actually, but I just have to change that angle to replicate that angle. So I'm going to use my old HOSCO TL FF2, which is wide and medium wide file. I don't want to use my my diamond file for this, and so this is just a simple chunk of wood with, you know, a fake fret slot in it, which is just makes for a good holder. And then you can do this on, you know, there's multiple ways to get this done. I did try, ow, this stuff heats up. I did try to cut it off the fret wire coil at an angle like so, but I wasn't having success with that with the stainless steel, but normally I do. Stainless is just too hard. So I actually find it's easier to flip them over and then gauge them from the side, and that's very close. That's, you know, that's a symmetrical curve, I would say, or a symmetrical angle. So what we have to do now, just line up that done end with this end. Now we have to trim off or shape this. If it's a lot, I would get the nippers out and trim it, but I'm just going to file this, I think. I might try and... No, not going to work. So back to this boring footage. And then after I've done this, I'll show you how I buff the ends, each end, and then how I install them. And I've installed 3, and then I realized that this might make a good video. So I started recording. So it's a bit long still. If another thing to do, if it's close, you can, so that's at about the right angle there. if you want, you can make it a bit steeper. So instead of like that, make it a bit steeper. Then you take this part off, which is the bottom of the tang is the thing that will probably and usually be needing to be filed away after you install it, and less so of the actual crown. That's pretty much dead on length, but I want it just a tiny bit shorter to save me hitting the side of the fretboard with a file, which, you know, you can run into all sorts of trouble with refinishing, and if you chip off any finish, it's a problem. And with a maple fingerboard, just give this one more quick hit. Okay, that's probably won't get this, but it's just a tiny bit thinner. I mean, shorter. Okay, so on to the next part. When you cut the frets, and I cut the frets to length with the Summit fret cutter, but apparently the StewMac fret cutter is capable of doing the same thing on stainless steel. Just clean up any burry bits in here, and because of the hardness of the stainless steel, can you see the very end here, how it's the tang just here is, it's bent a little bit towards me this way. So what I'm going to do is just get some, these are my old fret nippers, and just bend that tang just into the center again, then that's fine now. I got these off, I bought these a long time ago off Greg Fryer in Sydney when I used to work for him, and he made Brian May's from Queen, Brian May's replica red special. So there's just I'm just removing the burr here just from the filing. So I mentioned semi-hemispherical fret ends before. What I meant by that is, when you make a when you fret in the semi-hemispherical style, you have to, well, the easiest way to do it is to pre-make every fret to length and then install it, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. So just got some sort of file chatter marks. It's pretty clean actually. It's, you know, I don't know, it's about, yeah, the file doesn't leave that much chatter marks, but this is a bit of 320. This stuff is really good. Cubitron 2 purple stuff. And that's that end sanded. Compared to the not sanded end. And you know, even with 320, you're not going to shorten this fret wire enough to worry about. It is very hard. Another file that I use is this one from StewMac, and it's got it's round. I can't get a good shot of it. I forget what they call it, but it's got it's smooth here, smooth on the top, and very fine files on the edges. And this is good. Very good little file. Okay, so that's done. I'll just give it a quick looking over. So I'm just looking at the curve here, and the length is this is the new one. It's just a little bit shorter, which is great, and the curves are good. The curve of the new one is a little bit steeper, so more of a right angle than this one, just a tiny bit, which is good. So here is just a simple little, tiny buffing wheel, which I have in my drill press, and that's what I specifically use to buff frets, fret ends actually. Well done. Okay, so this is the 7th fret, which is the one we just did. You can see that, if I get my fat fingers out of the way, that's going to be a perfect fit. It's because the edges roll in a little bit, it sticks out a little bit before you seat it, but when you seat it, the base of the tang will fit perfectly, because you can see that it rounds over. So I'll show you how I install them. Okay, for the fret position preparation, that's not the best way to describe it, but when you pull out the original frets, there's a lot of crud underneath here, under where the crown was. So I use a number 15 scalpel blade, which is just a small little scoop, or little curved scalpel blade, and I very lightly, with my eyes down flush to the job and a good light, I scrape away the excess, and that works well. And then I came up with this little invention, which is a piece of spare fret wire of the same width, so in this case it's 104 thou, and then I cut the tang off about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, whatever works for you. I found probably 1/2 inch is best. Then I filed off the barbs of the tang or from the tang on this part, so this can ride in here easy. But then the magic part is I filed off, I made this flat, because when you punch the tang off, there's always some residue tang, so to file that off. And then I put some stick-it sandpaper on, and with that, because it's the same width and it rides in the slot perfectly because of the tang, you can perfectly clean the crud from this area, from under the this area. So if it's a bit shorter, you can do, you can probably do 3/4 of the fret before you have to come back from the other side to get this area. But that is an excellent little tool. I'm going to call that the Beau tool. So I'm going to be gluing in these frets, and I'm going to be using the StewMac fret press, I think it's called, and this is a 9.5 inch radius insert to match this. I'm also going to be using hot hide glue with this little bottle, and I'll show you the secret to this. It has a nice little tip, which coincidentally matches perfectly the fret slots. These are, you can get these on Amazon. Do a search on Amazon for fine tip glue bottle, I think, and they work with this is hot hide glue, but you can use them with Titebond as well. And so I'll be doing 4 frets at once with this, and then once I install the frets with the press, then I can clean the glue up. So onto that now. One thing I need to mention is make sure your fret is slightly overbent. I don't know what radius this is specifically, but you can see it's bent at a tighter radius than the fretboard. That just helps keep the fret ends down. Okay, so I've got everything set up. Frets here, so I'll just place them just in front of the job. I've got lots of paper towel, just little bits of Bounty and stuff, because there'll be lots of cleanup, and the glue will, I usually just do a couple of wipes, then chuck a little bit of paper just on the ground, then clean that up later. I've got this at the ready. So on with the gluing. I've got the glue pot just off camera. I'll do multiple shots of this so you can get an idea. From different angles. I might as well just clean this up now. Just do 1 fret. Normally I do 3 frets, but it doesn't particularly matter. Now there's 2 ways to go about this. One is to immediate cleanup, like that. The other way is to, and that was just dry. The other way, if you leave it just a little bit, it'll start gelling, and then it gets sticky, and it makes cleanup harder, so you're better off leaving it for about 15 minutes and then it just peels straight off. I haven't waxed this fretboard or anything, and you know, it just is a perfect job, and those frets feel really nice as is. Okay, so I'll zoom in. I put the glue back in the glue pot so it stays nice and hot. Just adjusting the tension on this. You can see the glue squeeze out there, and just show you how it can be done. I'll do the next 3, or the next 2, I mean. Yeah. Flopped. If you wanted to, you know, just give it a little tap so it doesn't do what the last fret did and flop over, which is very rude, especially when I'm filming. Okay, so that's it. Just a quick look at how they were seated. I'm just going to clean up the caul with the hot water from the hide glue pot, and that's done. And then show you see the squeeze out, and then that is easy. So that kind of is what happens when you leave it, but it comes off nicer if you leave it for like 10 minutes. But I'm just gonna continue on. It's actually much easier when it's a slippery lacquered fingerboard like this. Now it's kind of messy, but this is super simple. So I just dip that in the hot water of the hide glue pot. You don't want to soak this fretboard with water, by the way, especially if it was you know, a ebony or rosewood fingerboard or something. Just, you know, anything not lacquered, but it's not an issue when it's lacquered like this. So I can't feel any glue. Okay, so that's that, and the rest of the fingerboard is just, you know, the same. Let's have a look at this. So again, this fingerboard curls over. So the fingerboard, or the neck, is exaggerated, kind of like that. So it goes in, so you've got to have this tang wider here, but when you place it just on here, the fret seems too long, but when you seat it, this overhang goes down to where it should. I should have done that drawing before. But at the moment, it doesn't feel like they need any filing, because I just cut them just a fraction too short. But you can see that you know, it's not a noticeable shortness. It's not like I've cut the tang so that's really deep. The tang is actually really nicely seated. So that's that. Another thing you can do is just use a fret rocker to feel how much grinding you may or may not need to do. I'm not getting any rocking so far. There's a tiny bit there in the middle. That means this one is a little bit, because it wasn't rocking on these three, but it is rocking on these three. It means this one's tiny bit lower than these ones. That's okay. It's only a fraction. So I was hoping that was going to be perfect. Then I could have remarked that this isn't going to need a fret dress. But I am going to have to just take this area down a tiny bit. But it's hardly rocking. Tiny bit. It's like I can't even see the light under this one, so it's so little. So that's how I do it. Just pre shape in every way the fret. You put it in, and it just minimizes how much you're touching this fretboard, and you'll realize that I didn't masking tape this fretboard off, and it's super clean. And I didn't when I was pulling the frets out, and I don't see why I would need to when I'm doing the slight crowning, but I don't know, we'll see what happens. I do have one last trick. So, see the slight gap under the fret. Actually, it looks huge when I when I go in that close. So that's mostly filled up with glue, and if I wanted to I could come back in and blob glue in there, but I have this stuff which was suggested to me by another luthier. It's just a big pack. So for this I would probably go this one, which is the one I used last time. I would usually do this after I've done any filing or anything like that, but this is just a dry bit of Bounty, so nicely done. And so that color is called Natural Tone. This one's Heritage Oak. It's a little bit too red. I won't continue on with that. But yeah, the natural tone looks good. It's actually really close. It's about as dark as the slightly darker areas of the maple. So there we go. Last little tip for you. So I'm a little further on with this fretboard. It's the next day actually, and I thought I would just mention something that I didn't mention before. So this is a 9.5 inch radius fretboard. So this is my primary little radius insert that I'll be using, or that I have been using. But for this area over the flat, you can use this, which is the Stumac jaws. And another thing that is useful is to get the ends perfectly seated to come back in with the next radius, next tightest radius, which is 7 1/4. So just going to quickly put this in here. You can actually use this on for the entire fretboard because it has these inserts. So I prefer the sort of hand press. It's just a bit quicker and less clumsy, but this still works good. So more hot hide glue. Right, just feel the ends. This end could. Okay. It's looking good. You don't want to tighten too much, just because you know there's enough clamping pressure in here to really push the fret too far, and you drive it sort of deeper than the other frets. It's another thing that this press has over this. This has a tension, so it's a known exertion of pressure, although that changes as the neck gets thicker, but all in all it's good. So this is the 7 1/4 radius insert. So this is just putting a tiny bit more pressure just right on the ends. I should have actually cleaned off the glue before I pressed that, just so you could see the or if a little bit of glue came out. But I thought I would just show you that little trick. That's like a known common thing, to use a tighter radius for the ends. Excellent. So thank you. If you enjoy these types of videos, then please subscribe and let me know what you want to see in here and get tips on. Good luck with all your luthiery endeavors, and just keep at it. You get better, I promise.